Ladies and gentlemen, we're here.
I'm part of the Kliq, isn't everybody?
Yes! 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 I got an idea, yeah. Beat up John Cena!
Give me a hell yeah!
Oh, a little bit of the bubbly.
Too sweet! This is where the power lies!
I am the man.
If you can survive!
It's showtime, folks!
The following episode is scheduled for one fall, and it is for your listening pleasure. This is In The Kliq.
What's up, everybody? Baby Huey here, and joining me once again is my good brother from the Bullcast. It's Phillip. How's it going, man?
Huey, I'm doing fantastic. A big weekend in the world of professional wrestling. You and I were on different sides of the country for a little bit of time, but it was great. It was great.
Yeah, man, it was a very busy last couple weeks, which we'll get into in a second. But before we do that, we are once again not alone. Also joining us is our good brother from within the ropes. It's Brian Tronic. What's going on, man?
Hey, guys.
You gotta introduce him right, man.
What's the right way? What, my good brother from Within the Ropes podcast,
No.
Brian Tronic.
The newest member of the BC, the official third man, the graphic hit social media. Ladies and gentlemen, the former Bullet Cast champion, Mr. Brian Chronic is in the building.
Ooh, he gave you the entire Bullet Cast intro.
Come on, bro. You gotta throw it out there, man.
Well, so here's the thing. You brought it up. I guess I should bring it up myself. You said former Bullet Cast champion. I'm glad he had an opportunity to defend his championship. I was not involved in this SummerSlam weekend picks, man. What's up with that?
You see, the way the coast is set up, the way
coast, the coast.
See,
okay, go ahead. Please defend yourself here.
You see, the way my mind was set up, I was on the East Coast. I was still on the West Coast time.
You're drowning already, man.
The wavelengths were all see the way my bank account is set up.
Keep going.
I just forgot. Oh Jesus, my headphone fell. I'm being honest.
You
with
are
man.
shaking right now. You're stumbling over your word.
I really
forgot. Okay.
I didn't think about you until you commented. You guys did predictions. I was like, oh snap! But I mean, you were interviewing Drew McIntyre and Jinder Mahal. You didn't have time for these predictions.
No, I had plenty of time, man. It was a busy weekend. I mean, Brian and I had dinner together in Las Vegas, and so we could have discussed our picks together if I would have known there was an offer for me.
You see, I was. You see,
what? Go ahead.
I was doing commentary. You know, it was just a whole thing. Go check it out. GSW High Voltage starts September 9th, by the way.
Okay.
So, yeah, I just forgot. To be honest, I forgot.
Wait, you did the predictions last Thursday, right? I'm guessing
we did it on the BC.
Yeah. Okay.
In my terrible Airbnb. Jesus Christ.
Oh, so you were already on the East Coast?
Yeah. You know what? I think I was just traumatized from the Airbnb and the Wi-Fi being absolutely terrible. So go back and listen to that. It's not our best work. And so I got the predictions and I was just done with it.
Okay, because the more I think about it, there have been plenty of times you and I have recorded together, and I've seen you text other people while I'm talking. So I'm like, you could have easily texted me while all three of you were making predictions.
Those texts weren't about wrestling.
Oh. Yeah, no, but I was like laughing. I was like,
I was on my Godfather stuff, if you know what I mean.
Wow.
Yeah.
But man, there have been plenty of times you and I've recorded together, and I'm watching you, and I'm talking, and you're zoning out or on your phone texting.
No, I'm listening. Hold on.
Man, you were channel surfing. You can see the reflections on your glasses. What's on your TV screen? So I'm just saying, man, when Brian or Brandon were giving their picks, you could easily just text me real quick. Hey, we're doing our predictions right now in the Bulletcast. Send me your picks.
I couldn't because we were recording through my phone And hey, when my phone left Zoom, it was all bad. It was terrible. So that was not the case.
Maybe before the show. Oh, never mind.
Yeah, before, after. I mean, literally done recording. It's like, oh man, I got to get my fourth brother, Huey. The guy who's taking care of me on some stuff.
Whoa! What do you need,
man? So look, I was legit heartbroken, man.
The championship's on the line for All Out next weekend.
I don't know if I want to defend. I don't know if I want to be a part of it, man.
That's fine. It gives me a better chance to win. I'm cool with that.
I might get my own title now, walk around with it.
You can't.
I'll tell West Coast, hey, we got to make some room on the table at West Coast.
West Coast, if you want business for me ever again, you can't make a championship for Huey.
Wow. Yeah. I was when I saw that social media post, it was an Instagram. You put it on Instagram. I was like, he forgot about me. I
did. I'm not gonna lie. I really did. I'm sorry,
man. He was gonna get an In The Kliq World Championship.
Yeah, it's gonna be a big gold belt.
You're just gonna put the sticker, look at the In The Kliq sticker over the Bullet Cast logo.
Yeah, I should do that. I should
or just spray paint Kliq.
Do you know how much I paid for this thing? Don't do that,
dude. Brian, I like your thinking. I'm going to come out like Hogan. I'm going to get a 5 o'clock shadow, and I'm going to come out to some Jimi Hendrix.
Don't come out to my cousin's song, bro. Don't do that.
I'm going to turn heel on us.
I'm going to get a couple other guys to stand with me. I'm going to leg drop you.
Going to have Tommy and Richard standing behind him.
Yeah, and they're going to hold up your belt, and I'm going to spray paint it black, and I'm going to hold it up and say, this is the new world order.
If Richard touches my championship, we're going to be scrapping for real.
Who's bad now, boys?
I'm a bad boy.
What side is he on?
I know. Next West Coast show, I'm gonna come walking in all happy, and someone's gonna yell, "What side is he on?" Jimbo from the commentary desk, "Which side is he on?" As I'm walking in to come say hi to you, and instead I'm just gonna leg drop you, go to the desk in the back, take your title, spray paint, and walk away.
Should I bring the championship to West Coast, bro? I've done it the past 2 times. I don't know. Should I?
Oh my God.
It's up to you, man.
I'm looking at it right now.
I think you should.
And I'm going to spray paint it. I'm going to go buy a spray paint can. I'll get a black one, and then maybe then the next show, the following show, I'll get a red one. Which I forgot about. He re-spray painted that thing with the red paint years later.
So I'm gonna just leave my championship here.
Yes, that might be good. Yeah.
Yeah. We're here to talk about professional wrestling, right?
Yes, we are now. Let's get up. No, sorry for the delay or lack of episodes the last couple weeks. It's been a very hectic, busy time. I mean, just for anyone who's a pro wrestling fan, you know what's been going on. Literally, the last couple weeks have been pretty amazing as fans for us, what we've been to witnessing on TV or in person. I mean, from AEW bringing in CM Punk. Finally, the worst kept secret came alive. We saw in person him make his debut on Rampage. We'll get into that in a little bit. SummerSlam last weekend in Las Vegas. Brian, you and I were out there in person. It was so much fun doing all that stuff. And then we got All Out coming up next weekend, which I just realized I'm not going to be able to watch that live when it happens. I'm going to be out at Bottle Rock up in Napa, the big music festival. Foo Fighters playing. So yeah, I'm a little bummed. I'm trying my best to stay off social media, but then again, if I'm at a big music festival, I think just internet signal is going to be pretty weak anyway. So that kind of helps me avoiding potential spoilers. So I'll say that. But I'm a little bummed.
Turn all the notifications off.
Yes.
Turn them all off.
Yes. No one texts me spoilers, please. No one, especially you, Phil. But then again, I know you don't text for predictions anyway, so you'll forget. You'll forget. You'll forget anyway. I'm not gonna let you forget about this, man. This is
Jesus Christ. Oh my God.
You put this out there that you're gonna feel the wrath from it. I'm just saying.
I didn't mean to. I'm sorry. I apologize.
I was like, what is this picture of Brandon holding a title for? What? There was pics?
He won.
Yeah. Man.
That's what it was. He's the 13-time champion.
Yeah, against, a weak division. I wasn't there.
A weak division?
I'm just kidding.
What do you mean?
Was it a full?
You were part of the division. Don't tell me.
I feel like I might have had more of a chance to win if Huey was there. Just saying, there's
You know what?
uneven.
Thank you, Brian.
You know what? I'm not. Where's Cindy at, brother? She not that Cindy. I mean, Brian's wife. She can hop in on the picks. Huey can sit. He can sit all out.
All out, yes. But no, it's a lot's going on. I mean, it's pretty amazing. And before we kind of get into it, guys, I just want to get your opinion. I mean, literally the last few weeks, it's just amazing, the vibe in pro wrestling in general. And this is something we didn't plan on talking about, but it's really nice that the buzz, everyone's talking about pro wrestling, whether WWE, what they got going on, all their, between Brock Lesnar, Becky Lynch coming back, SummerSlam as a whole, and the fallout from it. AEW's got, CM Punk and the rumors of Daniel Bryan and all the other stuff. I mean, Phillip, start with you, man. Like, this really, the amount of people talking, it feels like the 90s, for me, living through the Attitude Era in my middle school, high school years. That was pretty amazing. And the fact that, like, in the last week plus, how many people who I never really talk about wrestling normally with have been approaching me and talking to me about CM Punk. So it's amazing how much CM Punk's return has got the casual person talking about it. I mean, from you, just what's your experience so far over the last week and a half of just the buzz wrestling has going right now?
It's been really cool, man. I have a couple people who they don't watch wrestling, but they text me about the Punk return because they watched his UFC fights, and that was a big deal back then. I remember that like it was yesterday. It's been nice to see this business that we all know and love so much finally get its just due and its recognition in the mainstream. I mean, Bleacher Report, they always talk about pro wrestling, but sports centers, they really did a nice dive about it. I mean, CBS Sports, they always talk about wrestling, and just a lot of the sports sites that don't normally talk about pro wrestling were talking about it. And I think that's the biggest deal.
Yeah, no, it's really amazing. And it's kind of like validation for us being such hardcore fans and loving this through the ups and downs of it all. Brian, I don't know about you, but like for me personally, either at work or whatever, there's some people who I know are not wrestling fans and they give me crap about it from time to time. And it's kind of like, man, when wrestling seems really down, it's really tough to be a fan because you're trying to do your best to stand up for something that you really love and care about. But then, the haters out there will find any little detail to make fun of. But the fact that CM Punk has generated so much buzz lately, and I'm hoping long term it's going to really create, good competition and push everyone to the fullest, and all these other, it's going to help out all these other promotions as well, the smaller tier promotions. So I don't know about you, but it must feel really good to be a pro wrestling fan right now.
Yeah, it definitely does, especially for me. I mean, Punk coming back, I feel like has reopened everyone's hearts in terms of pro wrestling, like the love, the passion. It's really nice, even on social media, to see a lot of people who haven't really been excited or happy with the overall product and pro wrestling that's been out there. But Punk coming back and everybody being excited about his return, everyone being excited about the future. Of course, amongst all the other names and things that are out there floating around in terms of who's going where and what's going to happen at this show. And, speculation on future shows, like, for example, coming off of even SummerSlam, everyone was so excited for SmackDown. And it's just like, man, what's going to happen? How's everything going to unfold? So it's really great. It's really great to be a part of even,
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I think you really summed it up nicely there as far as, listen, we've been the real troopers when, it was just WWE in town a couple years ago and some of the other promotions were barely getting any attention at all. So, when Raw would have a bad episode, it was tough being a fan. So now it's like we're finally, for being patient and being such good, loyal fans of the product, we now really get time to celebrate and just take it all in. And it's just really exciting overall. And I think the buzz that these promotions can create, it's going to help, like I said, the smaller tiers, Ring of Honor has been doing a lot of great things. Impact Wrestling, NWA starting to get some more buzz again. So, as a whole, it's just an exciting time right now, especially independent wrestling as well. So much to get into. So we'll go into CM Punk's official AEW debut on Rampage from last week. We'll touch on that a little bit, but some clickbait news that really has taken off in the last 24 hours that I really want to touch on. First up being the other big free agent that is out there that, if AEW is officially able to land, will definitely turn the tide more in their favor. And of course, that is Daniel Bryan, or I guess we should start getting used to saying Bryan Danielson. So it was reported, I guess, last night or yesterday afternoon, early evening, that there were reports from bodyslam.net that he was going to sign with AEW and make his appearance at the Grand Slam edition of Dynamite in New York City on September 22nd. But now in a new update, Cassidy Haynes from Body Slam is now reporting that's been bumped up and he's going to make an appearance or his debut for AEW at All Out on Sunday, September 5th in Chicago. Man, this is, kind of an interesting situation here in many ways. I'm looking at Wrestling Inc. right now for the story. It says the decision to push Bryan's debut up was reportedly made after internal concern continued to grow over the spike in COVID-19 cases across the country, especially with the mandates and restrictions in New York City. So I'm interpreting that as like, okay, the original plan was have him debut in New York City, but since COVID cases are really up, and who knows if that show in New York City might happen now if things keep getting out of hand. So maybe instead of waiting and they have to go back to like maybe Florida or something without a crowd, that kind of sucks. Daniel Bryan makes his big return with no fans in attendance. So I think they want a guaranteed big crowd for that pop. So it looks like, okay, let's push up the All Out. We know we're gonna have a sellout crowd there. But Bryan, man, get your thoughts on just it looks like Daniel Bryan now. It's like, okay, we knew CM Punk was gonna show up on Rampage. Now this is like the second worst kept secret. Everyone's gonna be watching All Out and just waiting for Daniel Bryan to make his debut. So what are your thoughts on him showing up there?
Yeah, it's bittersweet. It's kind of like, man, like, I don't know. It's cool. It's interesting. I hope he's used, or I hope I don't know, man. It's just hard. They've got so many people coming there. They just got Punk. They got, everything going on with the different relationships they have with different promotions. While I know that obviously if, someone like Punk or Daniel Bryan, they probably have a big say-so on what they're going to be doing while under contract with AEW. So I'm not too worried about that. But I don't know, man. It's just it's going to be weird. I'm so used to seeing Daniel Bryan in WWE, the Yes movement. And, I know that all the AEW fans are going to be chanting yes still. So it's like it's just weird to know that. I don't know. It's just, and then even Bryan Danielson, I thought the other day when I was looking on Twitter, I'm like, man, a lot of people are calling him Bryan Danielson. Like everyone forgot. Like, do we even know? Like maybe he can be Daniel Bryan still. We don't even know. But it's like because although I've known him since his indie days and stuff too. Like I never really cared for him like that. When he came to WWE, I was like, oh, okay, Daniel Bryan. Cool. So it's just weird. I'm assuming this is something that he wants to do. The fresh new young talent he wants to have matches with before he calls it a day and hang it up. He wants to help elevate talent, and so Daniel Bryan, man.
Well, if you think about it, I mean, what AEW has to offer, I think overall there's a lot more checks off the boxes that fits what he wants as far as be able to work less dates, probably make around the same amount of money. But work less dates, work with New Japan. That was, I think, the big seller. He wanted to work with New Japan as a promotion. So to be able to, and AEW has that relationship right now. WWE can pull it off. Of course, the young talent, the working relationship with other promotions, probably more creative control. That's a big thing as well. It's and they're on a big major cable network as well, so he knows that he's going to be on the pretty big damn platform from a broadcasting standpoint. So his name's out there. And, if you think about it, he's getting a second run in wrestling that I don't think he thought he was going to have a few years ago. He thought he was done completely. So it's like a second chance at life. So it's like, I want to live life to the fullest and be able to really live out, or I have a second chance to decide what my legacy is going to be. And like, oh my God, my contract's up and I still got a couple years left. What else do I want to accomplish that I didn't think I was going to be able to do before when I was out hurt? So I'm sure for him, there's like, he's probably creatively all excited. I can work in Japan. I can work with this person. It's all these fresh new matchups in AEW and Japan and maybe Mexico. Who knows? It must be exciting. I mean, Phillip, it is, as Brian said, kind of bittersweet. We love watching him in WWE, but it seems like it could really be an exciting time to see him in a different promotion. What else he could be doing? Am I right?
No, you're not.
What? Why are you? Do you want him to stay with WWE?
This vanilla midget is capitalizing off of the last thing he did in WWE. Was with who? Our tribal chief.
With Edge, right? Yeah. That was his last match in WWE. With Edge, technically.
No, it was with Roman on that SmackDown.
So you're saying he's a good pro? He did the job for Roman Reigns. He made him look good on his way out.
Oh, Roman beat him clean as a whistle. There was no job doing there. No, but in all seriousness, I mean, it's crazy. It's one of those things where, like, so the Punk debut, you're just kind of like, what's happening? And then with this news of Daniel Bryan coming, you're like, yo, what is happening right now?
Yeah,
it's crazy. I mean, he's going to AEW. Looking at I'm thinking about the roster. Okay, there's Flying Brian Pillman. There's, he could have a 3.5-star classic with Griff Garrison. Like, we don't know. you know what I mean? Like, there's all this untapped talent there that's not going to be on TV. I think Daniel and Brian. I'm sorry. I think Brian and Jungle Boy will be a good one. Yeah. I want to see Brian versus Lucha. So I want to see Brian versus Marco Stunt. I don't know why. I just want to see Daniel Bryan wrestle everybody. As far as like the New Japan thing is concerned, Brian versus Suzuki, who's coming out to the Bay. Go get your tickets for West Coast Pro. Brian versus Ishii, Brian versus Tanahashi. Some of the young lions
Okada.
like Okada, Jay White, Carl Fredericks. Just everybody. I think what he's going to do is like a real just kind of a farewell tour, and I'm sure eventually he'll step foot back in Ring of Honor, and you know what? His career might end there where it really all started.
That could be really cool as well. Maybe, do an appearance down there in Ring of Honor, because Ring of Honor has been tweeting out, which promotion would you like us to work with in the Forbidden Door? And, it's all very insensual. Is that the word? Where like all this crossbreeding going on. But if you think about like AEW is working with New Japan. New Japan has worked with Ring of Honor. New Japan is working with Impact. Impact's working with AEW. So, like, they're all crossing streams right now. So, yeah, I mean, I'm sure Ring of Honor would be all open to the opportunity to work with all these other promotions. I know some of the wrestlers are open to it as well. So, give us, like, an all-star super show at, like, a big arena or something. They could easily... Madison Square Garden or a football stadium. I mean, imagine they did it like eventually, like a baseball field or something, like a huge super show with all these promotions involved.
They did one back in the day. Lawler ran it.
Yes.
What was that show?
Oh my God, I know it was for the AWA.
It was like a Wrestle Summit Classic, something like that, right?
Super Clash.
Super Clash.
So back in...
It was like
1985.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Let me see here. So it was AWA and NWA working together. So the two large independent, or not independent, two large territory promotions outside of WWF at the time working together for a huge super show. That was the one, Ric Flair defeated Magnum TA for the NWA title. Stan Hansen beat Rick Martel, double DQ. So that was Super Clash, but it was, I think, the following year Jerry Lawler beat Mr. Perf, or Kurt Hennig, I should say,
for the AWA title.
Yes, let's see. No, that was Super Clash 3.
They did 3 of them, right? Yeah.
Oh wait, Jerry Lawler defeated Kerry Von Erich That's right. Now is the Bloodbath. Did they do a fourth one? Man,
I think they only did 3.
here's a 4. This is 1990, but yeah, it was Super Clash.
Okay.
No, but yeah, no, I mean, it could be really awesome. Like eventually, if the pandemic, goes away far enough, that like how awesome would it be, like a huge super show of all these promotions working together in fantasy matchups? I mean, maybe that's the ultimate end game of all of this Forbidden Door.
Well, I'm gonna put this on here. I've talked about it on Within the Ropes and the Bulletcast. The Forbidden Door isn't truly forbidden until VKM walks through that thing.
I mean, but he doesn't play nice.
It's a one-way door. It is a one-way door that all leads to AEW.
But they do. Everyone does benefit a little bit. Now, Grant, I know Impact.
How?
Impact does get the exposure, though. More people talk about Impact Wrestling the last 6 months than the last. Okay,
their numbers don't show that.
Because not everyone has access to TV, but at least the social media. But no, they ended that partnership a couple weeks ago. That got ended. So,
for the past few months, their Twitch streams didn't really go up.
I think they went up.
Not by a lot. You know what I mean? Like,
no, and that I get what you're saying. There is that debate of who's really benefiting from all these partnerships. As far as at the end of the day, is it AEW that's ultimately, and that's one criticism I do have. Like, I do wish more people on Impact were coming over to Dynamite. Because there's been times where I think, like, should we get the Good Brothers? But that's about it. It would have been pretty cool if, like, when Moose was taking on Kenny, it would have been nice if Moose would have showed up on Dynamite to add more storyline to their matchup at that Impact pay-per-view. So I do agree with that.
Or even Rich Swann. Exactly. It would have been nice to see him there, too.
Exactly. So I do agree in that, where it does seem very one-sided, where AEW... their talent is appearing on these other promotion shows, but where's the vice versa as far as people coming on their show to add more fuel to the fire with those respective storylines? So I do agree with that part. But with Vince McMahon, like, at the end of the day, they're such a big company right now. They don't technically need to work with anyone. They got so much talent on their roster. I mean, for us as fans, it would be amazing to see, like, Bobby Lashley versus anyone from one of the big promotions, or Roman Reigns versus Okada. Like, as from a fan, of course that would be amazing. But Vince McMahon's like, look, we just sold 51,000 at Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas. We don't need to work with other promotions. So I see both sides, but at the end of the day, WWE's like, you know what? We're the biggest company in the world. It takes all these other promotions to work together to equal us. Maybe that's their mentality. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
But, for me, I'm excited for Bryan Danielson when he does show up, because you see how much buzz people are talking already about CM Punk. Imagine when Daniel Bryan shows up, how much buzz that's going to create on social media and everyone talking. So the needle's already been moving in their favor for AEW. So imagine adding that and the potential Adam Cole. I know I didn't put it in the notes, but I guess I should talk about Adam Cole. Yesterday on Friday's stream, he put he put a note out saying he can't do his Twitch stream or something.
Yeah, he said it on his Discord that he was canceling his stream and that he would let them know on Saturday when the next stream would be.
Okay. Did he say anything okay, so we're recording on a Saturday right now. Has he put an update out there? I haven't checked. Okay, because a lot of people were like, oh my God, does that mean he's going to show up on SmackDown? I didn't watch SmackDown, but I saw he did not show up. So his contract is expired now with WWE completely. So we'll see what happens next with Adam Cole, his future.
Nervous.
For what? What are you nervous about?
I just want him to stay with WWE, man.
Really?
I do.
Yes.
Why is that?
What you say, Phil? You say
it's simple. You want a main event WrestleMania or Double or Nothing? You want a main event WrestleMania or Double or Nothing? What do you want? 12,000 people yelling Adam Cole Bay, or 80,000 people yelling Adam Cole Bay?
Do you think he could main event WrestleMania? I mean, that's
it's undeniable. It is absolutely undeniable. Look, forget the height thing. The dude is good in that ring. He's charismatic. He can mix it up with Bobby Lashley. He can mix it up with Roman Reigns, with our tribal chief. Him and Finn Balor can go again. You know, we could see him and Seth have a really good match. You know, just let him go. Let him go on the main roster, man. And he could go to All Elite White People and, you know, be very comfortable there. But no, let's stick with WWE.
It would be interesting. So the fact he didn't show up on SmackDown this week shows, okay, and there's a lot of ways to interpret this. Okay, one, obviously they don't have plans for him on SmackDown yet, or as far as we know. I mean, Monday Night Raw still could be an option. If I was Adam Cole, or if I was Vince McMahon, and if I re-sign Adam Cole, I would rather have him on Raw, because Raw desperately needs more names. Because Brian, you know, SmackDown is stacked right now between Brock Lesnar, you know, his new storyline with Roman Reigns. You got Becky Lynch over there.
Yep.
They got the big names over on Fox right now, and Raw.
They got the USA Network pretty mad.
Yeah, so that was some new reports coming out the last couple of days. USA Network's a little bit mad. It feels like it's very one-sided as far as the stars go, stars recognition. So if Adam Cole was to sign, yeah, I would put him on Monday Night Raw. And you got the draft coming up as well. So, I mean, that's another thing. You know, everyone's like, oh, he didn't show up on SmackDown. I guess he's not re-signed. Yeah, well, still watch Monday Night Raw this week. That could be something there as well. See what happens. But who knows? I mean, if, you know, maybe that New York City show, Arthur Ashe Stadium for AEW, maybe that's where Adam Cole debuts at. You know what I mean?
I hope not. I hope not.
So if Daniel Bryan moves up to All Out, but they got to do something big for that September 26th show. Maybe Adam Cole debuts there. So, you know, if Daniel Bryan is such a big name, he deserves being on a pay-per-view, while Adam Cole on an episode of Dynamite. That's a big deal. So I don't know. We'll see what happens.
He'd have 20,000+ saying Adam Cole, baby.
Still not 80.
Yeah, no. And listen, Phil, I agree with you. Like, if you're a pro wrestler, I think everyone, for the most part, at one point or another, their dream is to main event a WrestleMania. There's no better feeling or higher accomplishment other than maybe winning the championship at a WrestleMania. You know what I mean? So I'm sure for Adam Cole, he would love to do that. But then again, you got to look at the big pictures. Like, okay, well, where are my chances of making that a reality? We know Vince doesn't necessarily like the type of person I am as far as my height and stuff and weight.
The rumor is Vince likes him.
Yeah, no, and apparently other rumors that you know, Tim from Pro Wrestling Unlimited was telling me the other day that there are a lot of people behind the scenes who are reminding Vince, you do not let this guy go. He is very much like your second coming of Shawn Michaels. So
that's exactly how I feel.
We'll see what happens. You know, Shawn Michaels, you know, was very successful under Vince McMahon back in the 90s and 2000s. So, I don't know. We'll see what happens. I mean, we could talk to her blue in the face about this whole thing, but until we see where these guys show up, then we can break it down more afterwards. But, I mean, I see, you know, I think for Adam Cole, I mean, the easy answer is AEW, but maybe he's open for a challenge. Sticking with WWE could be the place to be. I don't know. Mm-hmm. I don't know. It's tough. I mean, we talked about this before in the past with Adam Cole. It's like, what are more options? I'm sure he has a list of things that he's looking for at this part of his career, and which promotion or company offers all of it or the majority of it. So I don't know. We'll see what happens, man. It's going to be a very interesting time these next few weeks and months as far as we know. Something else I want to touch on real quick, and this kind of came out, I saw earlier today, and got a lot of people now talking about it. The headline I see here is Jim Ross reportedly transitioning out of full-time AEW announcer role. And this comes a little bit of a shocker just because it was just kind of came out of the blue. But I'm reading the report here from Wrestling Inc. and it says Jim Ross is moving away from announcing on a full-time basis, according to Ringside News. The AEW announcer will still sit behind the table for big matches and major events, but word is he'll be working in other areas for the company. He's reportedly going to do more backstage segments like sit-down interviews with AEW stars. The report noted it was Ross's call on wanting to change up his responsibilities within AEW, and Ross signed a 3-year deal with them back in April 2019. And this is all kind of interesting because Jim Ross tweeted out earlier today, quote, "This is all news to me." So, Phillip, your thoughts on Jim Ross supposedly being phased out from being a full-time commentator with AEW?
Well, this is good. Now I can debut an Arthur Ashe as the head commentator. It's fantastic. I mean, keep him special, man. He's done his thing these past 2 years, every single week, which is good. It got people familiar with their product because you get to hear Ross's voice and obviously Shivani if you were a WCW fan.
Yeah.
But yeah, look, let's keep him special now. He doesn't need to be there every single week anymore, and maybe this will keep him sharper. I don't know. That's
very true.
I mean, don't get me wrong. After some comments he made on Dynamite this past week, Jim Ross is aware of some things. All right, he's aware of some things. Okay.
It's interesting because I was reading on a different website. I think Body Slam on their report. It's like, okay, his contract's expiring April 2022, and then after that, if he stays with the company, they'll negotiate a new deal. But I'm paraphrasing here, but it's probably not going to be worth the same amount. It's going to be a little bit less because his role is going to be a lot smaller than what it currently is. So, that's between him and the company as far as his salary and what his role is going to be. But Brian, man, it's kind of interesting to hear what's going on here. I mean, my main thing was that was kind of interesting that Jim Ross says it's news to me, even though the reports are saying it was his idea. So I'm kind of worried. Is this potentially going to lead to some drama between Jim Ross and the EVPs and Tony Khan? But I mean, your initial thoughts on him kind of, transitioning away from being the main play-by-play guy.
Yeah, I think it's good that he transitions out. And this is my opinion. I feel like he's been kind of overshadowed or over, like he's been outperformed anyways. Mm-hmm. I think Shivani's been great. Yeah. He kind of fits like AEW style more than Jim Ross does. Mm-hmm. I feel like Jim Ross has made the most mistakes out of everyone.
Yeah.
And the WWE champion Kenny Omega.
I mean, that's one example right there. I mean, that was the ending of what their last episode, right, at Daly's place, the goodbye episode.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. So I feel like, if the reports are true and he's taking a lesser role, whether that be backstage, I think that's great. I feel like that would be more of an upgrade in terms of personality, more than Alex Marvez, because I think Alex Marvez, I don't know. I just don't like him back there. He lacks personality to me. Mm-hmm. So Ross would be good in that position. And like I said, Tony Schiavone, I think, is great. Excalibur has grown more into his role. He's more of the main voice you hear all the time. So, and I don't know if they're going to add another guy. They have guys rotating out of that seat on Dynamite all the time.
It kind of makes you wonder, based on the fact, as you said, they have a lot of commentators right now. Between Elevation, they got Paul White, formerly known as The Big Show. On Dark, they have Taz and Excalibur doing stuff.
Yeah.
But Elevation has Shivani with Paul White working together. Rampage, we see 4 guys as far as Taz, Excalibur, Jericho, Mark Henry. So I kind of wonder, if I'm just playing conspiracy theorist, maybe this is something that they've been anticipating a change for a while. So they're like, okay, we're going to put all these potential new guys or replacements, have them all do our different respected shows.
Yeah.
This is their time to practice, audition for us, and we'll see, how it goes and see which one we like best, or if anything, gives them time to practice, develop chemistry with one another. maybe that's what's going on here.
What if Tony Khan brings in Mauro Ranallo?
I would love that. Now, Mauro,
Mamma mia.
I mean, we saw him do the one appearance with Impact Wrestling, so I think he's open to doing it. I would love to have him. It's just, for me, he just got to tone it down with like all the pop reference. Like he gets a little too crazy with that stuff.
Are you kidding me? That's what I loved the most about him.
It was getting a little out of hand. Like some of that stuff, which is like, what has he just said?
Oh, Huey, you got to be embraced in the culture, bro. That's it. That's it.
So you want Mauro Ranallo speaking for you then?
Pretty much.
Right? I mean, are you okay? I'm just saying.
Pretty much.
Look, he's hesitant. You see how hesitant he is?
Okay. Look, I will say this.
You want Mauro Ranallo dropping Drake lines or whatever he does? Like,
yes, bro. But I forget what match it was on a takeover. But he said, "Somebody open a window. It's like Travis Scott. The antidote's gonna get let out." I was like, "That's brilliant. I love it. I love it."
No, I love Mauro Ranallo.
It did get out of hand. I mean, let's not lie.
I mean, after a while, because like I'm like, I don't get the reference, man. Like I don't get it. Like, so I'm just thinking for like I like this.
Or most spots, it just seemed unnecessary.
Yeah,
like it turned it, for me. It turned it almost like he was trying too hard. Like, dude, Ricochet just did a 630 off of a ladder onto another ladder onto the mat, and he almost killed himself. And you're talking about Drake?
Drake.
I love Drake.
What I mean? But Mauro Ranallo would, in my opinion, would shoot AEW even further up.
Yeah.
Just like Cameron Grimes says, to the moon.
It's gonna be interesting and here's the thing, and I'll give this disclaimer: I love Jim Ross. He was the voice of my youth during the Attitude Era. Him and Jerry Lawler, arguably the greatest duo ever to call pro wrestling play-by-play. With that being said, it is very obvious he is not the same performer or commentator as he once was. It's just, for anyone who listens, you can tell he's not the same person. He's just older, and that's what happens. We all get older and, lose a step in our ways and in, our respected field or wherever we do. And it's unfortunate, how many errors he does. He makes a lot of errors that are very noticeable now. And now with social media, everyone is criticizing him. And anytime he slips up, everyone jumps all over him and tweets about it, whatever. And so it's tougher. It's really tough in the position he's in. I was just
going to say, how many times he's been on WrestleBotch?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good example. And it sucks because we live in a world now where the second you screw up, anyone can go back and get that clip and just put it on repeat and put it, on social media, and everyone just, jumps all over you for it. That's unfortunate, and that's not right. Even like, when he said WWE champion Kenny Omega, I was going to tweet something, and I was like, you know what? I'm not going to jump on. I'm not going to add fuel to the fire. I'm not going to jump in that dog pile. And I didn't tweet anything out because I was like, that's not right. Who am I to criticize the legend that is Jim Ross like that? But I'm just saying, when he first got hired for AEW, I thought it was a tremendous hire. It was a very smart hire because he brings instant credibility to that announced team. His name recognition. He has a huge social media following. So a lot of people follow him. And I think when he got hired by AEW, I was like, okay, this company is serious. They're hiring arguably the greatest announcer ever to call their wrestling. That was a smart move. Unfortunately, though, over time, we've seen his performance decrease or have some dwindle, have some hiccups here and there. And therefore, you got to take a step back. Okay, a change might be due. And that's what happens. Any broadcasting job, if you're messing up or you're not performing like you used to, whatever, then you got to make a change for the better, or or fix things.
I think that happened to Walter Cronkite. I mean, one of the best news anchors of all time. And I think he started slipping up, and then he just quietly retired.
Yeah, you look at, John Madden, Pat Summerall. I mean, Brian, any sports broadcasters, they don't last forever. And the second someone, their performance goes down, then the bosses that be reevaluate the situation. And it's like, okay, is a change needed here? And in this situation, Jim Ross does have his botches and slip ups. And they're like, you know what? It might be better for our product if we take him off. We don't need this, sometimes bad publicity from it all. Like I said, I can't stress enough. I love Jim Ross and respect everything he's done in the business. But at the same time, you do got to look at the big picture. And it's like, okay, we have a multi-million-dollar company here that people are investing in, networks are investing in, and they expect the best from us. And if Jim Ross is slipping up quite frequently, then we might need to make a change. So, and it's tough. You never want to quit. You always, you want to go out there and perform as much as you can. It takes someone else to make that decision for you. And it sounds like people are making that change for him. So we'll see what happens. I mean, maybe they ride this out through All Out, then after All Out, maybe they make a change. I love Tony Schiavone, and you guys know I'm so happy that he's back in pro wrestling, because there's a lot of people, Jim Ross, Jerry Lawler, but Tony Schiavone was like the other major voice from the Attitude Era on the WCW side of things. I love his voice, and he's been really good, man. So I could see him maybe be the new lead play-by-play guy with Excalibur. I don't know, Phillip, who you think do you think they should stay just being a duo, or do you think they add a third person on Dynamite then?
I think it should, let's just do the 2-man group, because we have the 3-man on Raw. And two, it's simple. They can play off each other better. You got 3 people, kind of like what we have here, where somebody tries to jump in, you get like the up, you go ahead, Yeah. So let's just keep the 2-man.
Yeah, I mean, we'll talk about Rampage's commentary team in a little bit. I have my thoughts. I'm sure you guys do too. It's not perfect right now, but we'll see what happens. I mean, maybe that's why, like I said, they've been testing out Paul White and Mark Henry doing some stuff. Maybe they can be like the former wrestlers who add their perspective on the color commentary side of things. But whatever change they do make, I trust them and see what happens. But I'm with you also. Maybe Morrow could come in. Maybe a whole change it up and have Morrow do Dynamite with Excalibur and Tony Schiavone. I don't know, we'll see what happens, but it should be interesting. All right, so let's talk about real quick CM Punk's debut in AEW. It was last week on Rampage. For me, I was watching this in my hotel room on my phone because Brian, as you and I were texting, we were both, in Las Vegas for SummerSlam weekend. Were you on the road still at that point when that was going on?
I was.
Oh, so were you watching on your phone too?
Yep. I went straight from the Fox app to the TNT app. And I'm like, oh no, what's going to happen? And his music hit. And honestly, I could barely hear it because on the phone, the volume can only go so loud. I had it in the car though, but still we're driving, so I couldn't really hear, but it took a minute. I'm like, is it the same music? Is it the same music? I was like, oh, it's the same music. Oh man.
No, it was great. I was with you, or like you. So, I did the press junket for SummerSlam that morning, and then after that I got lunch with Alfred from Wrestling Inc. A shout out to him, awesome dude. And another friend of ours. And then I had to switch hotels. So I switched hotels and I checked in, and I was getting unpacked and stuff. And I was trying to download my stuff from my audio and video from that day at the press junket. My SD card reader died. It was not reading anything. So I was like, oh no. So I had to go to get an Uber, get the Best Buy, buy a new SD card reader, come back. It was just a hellish of an afternoon. But then finally got home, or back to my room. I was able to watch on my phone. So yeah, Brian, like you, I was just laying on my bed, just staring at my little phone, watching this big debut here. But Phillip, for you, man, I mean, you said in the past, this is your guy. Like, this was your Austin of your youth. Like, I grew up with Stone Cold Steve Austin in my youth. He was like the closest thing for your generation. So yeah, your whole thoughts of what went on.
Yeah, man, I was in New Jersey and like we were at the ale house and they told me Punk debuted. I'm like, what, really? So I'm watching it, man. I felt like I was there. I felt like I was there because it's. I mean, come on, man. Like if it's like if Austin came back, like you'd have goosebumps. You would. You know. And like it's great because he has his everything. He has his name. He has his music. He has the logo. Yeah. Like it hit, and just the ovation. Shout out to the dude crying in the crowd. He was like, I teared up a little bit, bro.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, I mean, and you could see it in his eyes. It's kind of like the Edge return where you can just see it in the dude's eyes. You know, he's missed the thing that he's loved basically his whole life, and he's finally back. And I'm happy for him. Look, did I want him to go back to WWE? Yes, absolutely. But obviously that just probably was never going to happen. And we should be happy for what the performer wants and the decisions they make that benefit them in the long term. And I mean, come on, CM Punk with true creative, like he was already great on the mic in WWE and Savage, but he has true creative freedom here. The things that he's gonna say, like, oh yeah, come on, I'm ready. I'm ready for the MJF CM Punk feud. I'm ready for the mic work.
So yeah, let's break down each segment from this debut. So on Rampage, I mean, I like what they did because I think what was the week before we were all kind of speculating how they're gonna do this. How's he gonna make his debut? Is he gonna just come out? Is he gonna interrupt someone else? Is someone else gonna come out to his music and it's like a heel acting like him and then he comes out afterwards to attack him? Like, how are they gonna actually execute this debut?
They did it perfectly.
And exactly. That's what I was gonna say. It was perfect. They kept it simple. They just start the show, have the crowd shot, and then you hear their own, or AEW's version of the static, and then into Cult of Personality by Living Colour, and then they hear the guitar riff. The crowd just popped, and he just comes walking out. And yeah, Phillip, I'm with you. Like, I was just looking at his eyes when he got down on his knees, and he's just staring around at the room, at the arena, at the United Center, and just he was like on the verge of tears. It looked like he was just like, wow, like I'm back. Like people still like me. You know, that was amazing.
It was a beautiful sight.
We've been waiting for 7 years.
Yeah.
I mean, like the CM Punk chant became the thing to do at shows. Yeah. I've started CM Punk chants at shows. You know, like it just became the thing to do. And I think let's look at this. He has had two of the best what's happening moments in the last 15 to 20 years. Yeah. Obviously, the pipe bomb, where people, it's still the debate work shoot, you know, and then the debut with like, oh my God, AEW is really doing something. What's happening in wrestling right now?
Yeah, that was my thing, was like when he came out, and like I said, they kept it perfect. And like, shout out to Excalibur, who didn't say anything. He just let the crowd tell the story. You know what I mean, Brian? Like, as far as that's all we heard was just the crowd cheering. And that pop was huge. That was, you know, in the past we call it a Road Warrior pop, but now I guess we can rename it the CM Punk pop. Yeah. Like how loud everyone was. Until CM Punk started walking down the ramp, that's when Excalibur started talking again, which I thought was great. And that was great. Like they kept it simple. Have him come out to start the show. That was it. Because I think a lot of people were thought like, oh yeah, like maybe a heel comes out acting like him, and then everyone pops, but they realize, oh, it's a different person playing a joke on us, and then he comes out afterwards. But I'm glad he didn't go down that route, because if he would have came out afterwards, he wouldn't get that same reaction.
Yeah.
But so he comes down the ring, you know, he jumps in the crowd, like little crowd surfing there.
Man.
That was great.
So much emotion.
Yeah. I mean, I had goosebumps watching that. And I was like, oh my God, it's amazing.
I want to throw this at you guys, because obviously he was going to get the pop in Chicago.
Yeah.
But Peter Rosenberg said, would it be the same in some random spot like Des Moines, Iowa? You know what I mean?
No. I mean, because he's from Chicago.
Yeah, I'm saying like over time, once they start touring, well, I mean, like, will the pop still be like, it won't be as that loud, but will the pop still be pretty loud for the new cities that they go to see CM Punk?
Yeah, because I think like the initial go around for a lot of people, that's going to maybe be their first time seeing him live in person, or for a lot of people, a long time. So if it's your first time seeing him in your respected city, you're going to go crazy. But then like a year or two later, when he's been around a few times, then it's not as special. You know what I mean?
So I guess for the rest, or let's see, maybe like for like 6 months, it might happen.
I mean, hopefully they come to the Bay Area or the West Coast.
You know when the last time I saw CM Punk was?
In person?
Yeah, this is the first and only time I ever saw him.
I mean, my first time was at Cow Palace.
Okay. He was the Intercontinental Champion, and that was in February of 2009.
Wow.
Yeah.
The first time I saw him in person, I think it was at the first time, or one of the early first times, was still Straight Edge Society. Whatever year that was like 2010. They did a WWE did a house show at the Cow Palace. So him and Gallows and Serena Deeb come out. The crowd was booing him so hard, like he had so much heat for a house show. It was amazing to see him in person do that and get that reaction. He's special, man, and like. You know, for a lot of people, like I said, it's their version of Stone Cold coming back. He had that type of appeal when he was at his peak. So it was just really unique. Phillip, what did you think about his actual promo? Because he lasted for about like 10 minutes, I think he was talking.
Yeah, I think the key part of the promo is he said on August 13th, 2005, he left professional wrestling. Yeah. And on August 20th, 2021, he came back to pro wrestling, obviously. Because WWE, it's not pro wrestling, it's sports entertainment, which we can have that debate another time. They're both one and the same. But yeah, man, I'm glad he got to really have as much time as he did. He threw out the name, he threw out Darby Allin. You see him and Sting up in the rafters. So, we're going to get that first match of him and Darby at All Out. The promo was good, man. Punk, the promos will never be the problem. People really want to see, all right, can he truly go in the ring? And I mean, he trained for heels. I think his episode debuts tomorrow night, episode 3. And they said he didn't look like he missed a step. I'm like, okay, cool. That's training. But training and actually having a match are two completely different things.
And, he was in UFC for a couple matches. So he did stay in shape for that, worked out for that. So hopefully that's what's carried him for a couple years. But Brian, so Phil doesn't know this. So when we had dinner together, that we had a pretty good talk about this whole segment here, and you and I were on the same page. We enjoyed the promo except for one part, and Philip, you just touch on it. Where as far as he said, it was cool. He talked about Ring of Honor and making that connection and addressing Ring of Honor. Which kind of, I think it'd be cool. It kind of opens up the opportunity for Ring of Honor should work with all these other promotions, because a lot of these guys who did come from Ring of Honor can now maybe have a reason to go back there with the cross promotion, the Forbidden Door. But, when he said he left pro wrestling 2005 and now 2021, he's back. I was a little taken back by that. And I know, Brian, like you said, we talked about that pretty in depth. Even your son acknowledged that part too. I was not a big fan of that because he kind of crapped on his 9 years in WWE. Like, that's not wrestling, which, okay, I get the debate or the talk. Like, WWE doesn't call it pro wrestling. They call it sports entertainment. I get all that. But my big takeaway was like, he would not have the appeal that he has today without his time in WWE. So, Brian, exactly. I mean, please, you and I are talking about this. I mean, please share your thoughts on that.
I feel the same way. It's kind of like, dude, like the pipe bomb. We talk about it, right? The pipe bomb, the WWE Championship. He held it? What was it? The longest?
434 days.
430. Okay.
Money in the Bank 2011.
Money in the Bank 2011.
I mean, we all know how he feels. Like, we've all heard that podcast he did with Colt Cabana. I wonder can we get a Colt Cabana CM Punk feud, given the first one?
Loser pays for the other's attorney fees or court fees from that case.
I mean, Punk won. He should be able to afford it. Look, I understand that, and anytime people, they take the shot at Vince and the company, I'm just like, oh, okay. That stood out. That line stood out to me too. I'm not going to lie. We're not going to overlook it here. But for his case, it's kind of different. Given, you go back and listen to that podcast, the things he listed off and the way he left the company, and he got his termination papers on his wedding day.
Yeah. And the Z-Pack and the infection, the doctor allegedly mistreating him, all that
wrestling 2 weeks after having knee surgery with Ryback, a guy he never liked to work with in the first place.
Yeah, hard-hitting style.
Yeah, just everything.
Well, and listen, I get his frustration, and he has every right to be upset at WWE for his own personal reason, based on how he was treated, his time there, what happened after he left. I get all that. And listen, I know other people were defending it. It's like, well, in his time in WWE, he cut promos in WWE, and he would call out stuff in the back and stuff like that. And he said, he was the voice of the voiceless, so he would call out the BS while it's time in WWE. And even this time around, he says he's retiring that title because he likes the people backstage. Well, for right now, at least. But but it's like, I get. That was his shtick, was to call out the people in the back and stuff. And you're like, well, if you're upset of him saying that now, then how come you like what he said back in the day? I mean, that was part of his character then. This is now working for the competitor. For me, it's like, dude, if you just would have stayed in Ring of Honor this whole time, he would not have the name recognition, the brand value, what he has now. He went to WWE and despite his issues, he was still very successful and booked strong. Now, granted, I know when he was in OVW, he was almost released then. Paul Heyman had to fight for him to stay. You can thank Paul Heyman for a lot of his success then, or giving him the opportunity to have that. But at the end of the day, he was still an ECW champion, world champion, WWE champion. I mean, the merch and the push he did get, WrestleMania opportunities.
I believe he's the only he's the only one to win Money in the Bank back to back.
Yes.
I think so. Yeah,
and people thought he was going to be the first to lose.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, think about the two guys he beat for both of those. He beat Edge, probably the top heel in the company at the time, and he beat Jeff, the top babyface in the company at the time.
Yeah, and he had great storylines. So what I'm getting at is don't crap on them saying that's not pro wrestling. Well, it's like, well, dude, you went there and you were successful there. Like, I mean, don't crap on WWE saying they're not pro wrestling when at the end of the day, you went there and they gave you the name recognition, the value that you are able to walk away, and still 7 years later, people still care that much about you. It's because of what the platform they gave you from your time. That was my only issue.
Maybe he doesn't feel the success because he never got that Mania main event.
True, and what was the issue then? Because the biggest or the best one he got was Taker, right?
Yeah,
but that was second to last that night.
Yeah, no, he proposed that they do Rock, Cena, and him in a triple threat.
Okay,
that way honestly, bro, if he had gotten that WrestleMania main event, he might have never left.
Well, and then he got pissed because was it Daniel Bryan didn't get that Rumble spot? That's what pissed him off as well, if I remember correctly, in 2014. Was it January 2014 was his last?
His last match was the Royal Rumble.
Yeah, in 2014, the beginning of 2014. But he got pissed, right, because The Rock beat him and took the title off him. That's what led to Rock versus Cena, if I remember correctly, right? That was, 2013?
Yep. Yeah, I mean, really, man, it's that main event that he never got. That's what pissed him off.
And listen, I get, like you said, his frustrations, all this stuff, but I just don't want him to spend too much time just taking shots at WWE, because that's what AEW's been doing this whole time in their existence. But I feel like that's all he's going to do now, because if he said, I'm retiring the voice of the voiceless, I like the locker room, I don't need to call out stuff there. Who's he going to call out then to fit that shtick that he's known for? I guess it's going to be calling out WWE still. I mean, so it's like, I just worry that's going to get old, like calling out WWE over and over. And he's just going to sound like a bitter person. You know what I mean?
Let me ask this question. Was CM, okay, if you look at CM Punk and his career in WWE, everything that he accomplished, the position that he was in, no WrestleMania main event, And then you look at Seth Rollins, right? Outside of the cash in at WrestleMania, Seth Rollins is yet to have a WrestleMania main event also. Mm-hmm. But he's won Universal Championships, been WWE champion,
he's
Intercontinental he's Grand Slam champion, right? Yeah. Money in the Bank winner, had arguably the biggest cash in of all cash ins. I kind of see similarities in their careers, right? In terms of success, right? Mm-hmm. So it's just like, yeah, you're not always going to get the main event, right? But look at what you've accomplished.
Yeah, you still have a legendary Hall of Fame career.
Yeah,
Punk's whole deal was he was the biggest thing in the company at the time. He outsold Cena in merch, and not many people do that.
I still have my CM Punk shirt.
Good, get it signed.
Yeah.
I think that's really the point, man. Like. He had all the success, sold all this merch, was so over, and he didn't get the main event that he thought he deserved. And you know what? The guy did deserve the main event of WrestleMania. I'll say it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But I'm just saying, it's like, listen, I know you're very upset with the company, and you can be creative with your digs at them, but like kind of crapping on I just felt like he was just crapping on his whole time there by saying that comment when it's like, well, dude, the reality is, without them, you would not have what you're going through right now, as far as people still 7+ years later demanding to see you, chanting your name. You know, the name recognition they gave to you, you became a main event star because of them, or mainstream star because of them. So that was my thing. But I'm guessing we're probably going to hear more, digs at them for months to come.
And real quick, to be honest, I think of that whole story, like, if WWE didn't put that entire story together, the pipe bomb, the him leaving with the title after midnight, you know, him coming back, basically being reinvented with the Cult of Personality music, with the best in the world T-shirt. Yeah. They gave you that,
but it ended badly because he started wrestling Kevin Nash.
I'm just saying, like I said, yeah.
Was it Alberto Del Rio that cashed in on him?
Yeah, Del Rio cashed in on him.
Yeah, okay. Then he left the title picture to go work Kevin Nash. Like he was upset about that too.
I forgot about that. Never mind.
Click. Yeah, click. Yeah, that was funny. He's cracking. No, but like I said, but overall the promo I did enjoy because he did say he didn't know what to say. He wasn't prepared. He's just going off top of his head, and he seemed like he was speaking from the heart. I did respect that. That was cool. And he says, "Listen, for anyone that was upset when I walked away when I did, I'm sorry." So that was cool. Like he acknowledges, what happened over all these years, and he said he heard you, the fans, when they would chant his name at shows. He knew what was going on. He was very much, sounds like, paying attention to how people thought of him during this whole time, and so I respect all that, and that was cool to hear that he acknowledged all that. And then he also said, but why he wants to come back, he sees that locker room, all the talent. The locker room seems really exciting for him to work with. And so I think that's cool. And that does say a lot about the AEW roster. So that is very cool to hear.
I want to read this comment. This is from Anthony, the promoter over at UGWA. He said, CM Punk just extended the length of the table that we are all going to eat off of. Let's not F it up like the previous generation. The future is bright. Hail pro wrestling. What are your thoughts on that?
That's true. Absolutely. I think it's going back to what we talked about earlier, with CM Punk there creating all this buzz for pro wrestling, gets people excited, gets people wanting to care about the product again, and then it helps everyone else. It trickles downward, you know what I mean? As far as, hopefully maybe people, the fact he said Ring of Honor on national TV, maybe they'll get more people interested in checking out what Ring of Honor is. If people are watching AEW more now, they're going to see the Impact crossover. Maybe they want to check out Impact Wrestling. If Daniel Garcia is on that same episode, they're going to want to see his independent work, and he's out at West Coast Pro Wrestling. It's like, oh my God, I watch AEW because of CM Punk. I saw this guy Daniel Garcia wrestle. I see he's coming to my local hometown wrestling. I'm going to check out the independent pro wrestling. So they're going to get the benefit of my ticket purchase. You know what I mean? So that domino effect, that is what's really cool about this. So I get what Anthony's saying there. Like, what CM Punk is doing for the wrestling business as a whole is tremendous.
Yeah.
It's exciting. So I thought the promo overall was great as far as, just opening up to the audience. It was great. I do want to get a CM Punk t-shirt. Have you guys bought one yet?
Bro, he broke the site. They had to change the whole domain.
And he got ice cream bars given out.
We finally got the ice cream bars.
So, and that's something he's been working on for like the last 2 years, apparently, with the ice cream company. And he paid for all of it himself. And now they're going to sell them at All Out as well. Oh, wow. But it's cool. So on the AEW website or Pro Wrestling Tees, I noticed there's 2 versions of the shirt. The one he wore that night was the white with the black trim around it on the arms and the neck. And it looks very similar to his WWE shirt. But that one I think is only sold at the shows because it says I was there on the back.
Yeah.
If you go to Pro Wrestling Tees, it's like an all just plain white shirt. And so I was like, I kind of want the one with the black trim because it looks like his old school shirt. But maybe that's something we get at a show if they eventually do come to the Bay Area at some point.
Speaking of that, Tony Khan has commented about coming to California recently.
What'd he say?
And he says, it's likely if things stay on track, Double or Nothing in Vegas next year and bringing AEW to California while we're there. No promises.
No promises, Tony. Come on, my man.
He's scared of the tribal chief running California.
Or Matt. Was it Naked Matt? Come on, guys.
Yeah. I know they're LA kids.
Like, I'll go down to Rancho Cucamonga real quick.
Dude, I would. If they only come to Southern California, I would go down there for that.
We're all gonna go. What do you mean?
Absolutely.
The collective will be in full effect. Jesus Christ.
So anyway, like I said, I enjoyed the promo. I enjoyed him speaking from the heart, and then as you said, Phil, this guy crying in the crowd. I know some people were crapping on him, but CM Punk stood up for him and says, "Hey, that shows he has emotion. He cares about wrestling." And then Tommy Dreamer was looking for him, and they actually found the guy. So it looks like this guy's gonna get some like cool, just I don't know what they were looking for him for. Did they want to give him something like a gift?
I think he was going to get like a Punk autograph and like passes to a show or something.
Okay, cool.
It was a meet and greet and some tickets.
Oh, awesome. So that's great. I mean, it shows that, we are fans. We love this stuff. And so anyway, it was cool. For Rampage, that was huge numbers. It was like over 1 million. So they like almost doubled their viewership from one week to the first week to the next. So I know we've been running a little bit long here. So let's just quickly power through some of the highlights from Dynamite and Rampage this week. I can't believe now we got 2 shows of AEW to talk about now as a whole. For Dynamite this week, the big thing I took away was Chris Jericho coming out and cuts this promo, and he's kind of questioning what to do next with his career, whatnot. MJF comes out and interrupts him, and he still has one more match. He wants one more match with MJF to really settle this. Ultimately, he says, listen, I want a rematch with you at All Out. If I lose, I will quit wrestling in AEW and just be a commentator full time. Brian, I see your face. You're just shaking your head. What was your thoughts on Chris Jericho coming up with this stipulation?
Jericho, listen, I get he's trying to, add suspense and what's going to happen with Jericho. I honestly think that this feud should have been over with a long time ago. Like, I think they should have left it at MJF, making Jericho tap. Boom, it's over with, right? Jericho going back to the drawing board, going on tour, doing whatever. I don't like the stipulation because it's kind of like predictable, right? Mm-hmm. Like, okay, I don't think Jericho's never ever going to wrestle again, right? But then even if he does loses, okay, he is going, I think, on tour soon, and he does have the commentary gig with Rampage already, so it's like, all right, well, he'll just do that until he gets provoked or something, or somebody comes or if someone tries to beat up Mark Henry or something, he has to stand up, beat up Mark Henry. You know what I mean? No, like until something happens and he has to stand up for, whatever. And then now he's in another match again,
So I get what you're saying. I'm with you. When I heard him say that, make it stipulation, I'm like, oh, we're going to get one more match between the two of them. But with that stipulation, it's like, he's not going anywhere. He's like their biggest name was their biggest name outside of CM Punk, but he was like one of the big first signings for that company. He brings so much exposure for that company. He's not going anywhere. So it's like, yeah, it's very predictable. It's like, he's not losing this. But then the more I thought about it, I was like, yeah, he is getting up there in age, man. And I don't know what his long-term goals are, or how much longer he wants to do this. I think with the commentary opportunity, that still has him in front of the camera every week, but he doesn't have to put his body on the line. He has other projects. He has the podcast. He's a author. He's got the band stuff. So maybe he wants the flexibility of doing more band stuff. I was like, I don't know. Could this really be his retirement match on a pretty big damn stage with AEW? I mean, could this really be his last match?
I got to give him credit, too, because real quick, Jericho, ever since AEW started, he has really been putting in the work.
Yeah.
And really being there like almost every Dynamite. You know, he had the whole run with the
title.
What are they called?
Inner Circle.
Inner Circle. Yeah, you know, he had that whole I thought he was gonna be, you know, Brock Lesnar, or, you know, every other month or every now and then we'll see Jericho, but he was there every week, every other week, as champion. Even when he lost the title, I was like, okay, this is where Jericho goes away. No, he's still there with this group and doing big time matches, big spots, you know, so I got to give him credit.
Yeah, no, I'm with you, Phillip. I don't know about you. What do you think? Like that night when when I watched Dynamite this week, I was like, there's no way he's not losing here. It's like a guarantee he's not losing. But then, like, over the next day or two, the more I thought about it, I was like, I mean, maybe this is his way of getting out of wrestling, but still being involved with AEW. I mean, and he says wrestling in AEW only. He has done stuff with New Japan, so maybe he can go wrestle in New Japan still. I mean, you know, it's the way he worded it kind of leaves some little loopholes in this situation. I don't know. What do you think he's going to do here?
Or he can go back to where it all really got started and he became a huge star.
WCW?
I said became a huge star.
Lionheart. I mean, his contract is up.
Dude.
Let's not talk about that. Jesus. I have a moving story to tell off air, by the way.
So he signed the 3-year deal as well, like Jim Ross. So I believe that, but he was January, if I remember correctly. So I believe that is up early 2022. So, and you know, that is coming up in less than 4 months. So
look, Huey, I'm gonna need you to hit up Le Champion and
text him and ask him.
FaceTime, Jesus. Just
just be like, FaceTime right now. Be like,
no, he's in Florida. They're 3 hours ahead.
I know.
Like,
he's like, a party, man. He's like, yeah. Or what'd you say? Oh yeah. Wait, what's that's how he answers. Oh yeah. Hey, what's going on?
Pretty much, man. You know, like, I'm trying to hear Break the Walls one more time, and not just on YouTube. You feel me?
He goes out and then he goes to the Hall of Fame. Do you think, okay, on a completely side note, whenever he's done with AEW, do you think he does one last run in WWE so that way he goes into the Hall of Fame officially that way?
He might pop up at a Rumble or something.
I mean, that's something I can ask him privately.
I could see that. I mean, I think he'll go in their Hall of Fame. I mean, come on, look at the people who have done Vince really dirty, and they're in there.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
But I don't know, because could Jericho not wrestle anymore in AEW?
I mean, that's the thing. It's like, if he loses here, he'll still be on commentary, so he'll be on Rampage every week. He can do. He has maybe more flexibility to do the Fozzy stuff. Then I'm really kind of curious where he is in his life, his personal life.
He can win and then go do Fozzy.
Yeah, like I said, this is not someone who's like in their early 30s who has a lot more years ahead of them. So it's like when someone like that, a younger person says, "I'll give up my career if I lose," you're like, "Oh, that person's not losing." Like Roman Reigns, when before Royal Rumble, he said, "If I lose, I'll leave." WWE was like, "No, there's no way the tribal chief is leaving." But this situation, Jericho is, 50, 51. So it's like, he's been wrestling for 30 plus years. They had a big celebration last year. So it's like, this might be a good way to go out in front of a hot crowd in Chicago, arguably their biggest show of the year or second biggest show of the year. It might be a nice way to go out properly. And then we'll still see him on TV with Rampage. So, I mean, this might be his way of, kind of shocking a lot of people.
That bump card's getting pretty full, so I don't know.
Yeah. Well, my thing also, too, with Jericho, if you think about it, is, man, I mean, like, I was going to see this before I forget. This whole rivalry, I was hoping that the five labors of Jericho, I was hoping the fifth one would be one more person. Because you think about this whole five labors, it was almost like a little bit of like a career in review as far as, fighting Juventud Guerrera. It was like, it's like Ghosts of Christmas Past of like people he fought up against. He's like, oh my God, he has to go up against him again. I was kind of hoping that the fifth person would be someone else other than MJF. And then if he beats that person, then he gets his match with MJF at All Out. I kind of thought that's what they're going towards. I didn't think it was a good idea to have MJF be the fifth person in that scenario. I think he should have been five different different people. And then if he defeats all five, then he gets his actual match with MJF at All Out. I think that would have been a little bit better storytelling, because there are people complaining, like, another rematch again?
Yep.
But Brian, let me ask you this. In this whole thing, these last like couple months now of this five labors of Jericho and stuff, where have the Inner Circle and Pinnacle gone? Like, these two factions are like barely, like, I think recognize or people care about anymore.
They don't exist anymore.
I mean, right? I mean, the Elite has now become the top faction, heel faction in AEW, but these other two ones are gone. Like the Pinnacle, I think, lost all their momentum. I mean, it's going back to the reverse engineering.
I think they kind of fizzled out. And it's kind of weird, like how it happened too. I mean, the unfortunate injury that I don't know if it's Dax or was it Dax that got it? Or
Dax, yeah.
I was going. Well, it
was Cash. It was
Cash, like their WWE names.
Okay, yeah. So the injury that happened, so that kind of put a halt on the Pinnacle and everything like that. But yeah, like, and then with that happening, obviously Santana and Ortiz aren't really doing anything right now. Sammy, there's really nothing going on with him right now,
other than getting engaged or hugging Fuego del Sol.
Right. So it's like, yeah, these two, both of the groups are kind of like non-existent.
Stagnant. They're on ice right now. Yeah. I don't know. I'm just with, like, I was just like, man, this whole rivalry between Jericho and MJF really just put these two factions on ice, and like no one's talking about them right now. I feel kind of bad for everyone, and that's one thing I hope after All Out, let everyone go their separate ways and reestablish the Pinnacle. But I don't know how you're going to do that when the Elite are like the top heel faction and they got all the titles. So do you do Pinnacle versus the Elite? Two heels going at it? I mean, so I think that's where they kind of worked themselves in a little bit of a mess right now from a booking standpoint with factions. So I don't know. We'll see what happens here. Real quick, just touch on CM Punk. He made his first appearance on Dynamite. It's more or less he just added to what he said on the last Friday as far as he wants to wrestle and still see he's the best in the world. And he wants to prove not just the haters wrong, but prove to himself that he still got it and wants to take on Darby Allin. I don't know. Phillip, was there anything else from the CM Punk promo on Dynamite that stood out to you?
No, nothing really, man. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see if Darby even has any rebuttals leading up into the Go Home episode of Dynamite coming up on Wednesday.
Yeah. Brian, I mean, he mentioned, CM Punk did praise Darby and said, if I was young, Darby Allin would have been my favorite wrestler. He's the smaller guy. He got the punk rock roots to him. So there's a lot of attributes to Darby that he really likes. So he's praising him before he takes on him. And then it seemed like CM Punk was a little happy to share a ring with Tony Schiavone. So I thought that was kind of cool as well.
I think Darby's got to slap Punk.
Yeah, they gotta get some heat here. They're like praising each other.
They've gotta meet face to face, right?
Yeah.
And then Darby's just gotta slap him in the face, get CM Punk fired up. I want to see Punk fired up. I need Punk to get him up like he's gonna give him the GTS.
Yeah.
Can you imagine the pop? And then somehow Darby finds his way out of it and then rolls out and then sends us off to All Out.
You just reminded me, Kenta tweeted out after CM Punk's debut. Kenta's like, I want CM Punk. So it's a battle of the GTS as well.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
Punk did it better anyway. I mean, what are we talking about?
I mean, that's the thing. The battle of who could do it better. I mean,
Punk made it famous. Let's be real.
I know. Yeah. Be interesting. Last thing from Dynamite we'll just touch on was the main event. Malakai Black taking on Brock Anderson, son of the Enforcer, Arn Anderson.
Yikes.
Yeah, yikes pretty much sums it up as far as Arn Anderson, was trying to convince his son not to do this match because Brock, the other Brock, the lesser known Brock.
I want to call him Brody so bad.
Me too.
He wanted to fight Malakai in defense of his dad, who got attacked, a few weeks ago from Malakai. But yeah, Brian, this match just kind of pretty much turned out how we expected. Kind of one-sided, right?
Yeah, and I blinked and it was over with. I was like, what happened? I don't even understand it. I didn't even see Malakai Black's entrance. I was like, did he did his entrance already? Like, what's going on? It was very much so. I think and maybe this is a good thing that Punk debuted and just getting all this out the way. Punk's Dynamite debut overshadowed this main event. I completely forgot it was happening.
Yeah. No, it was very one-sided. Malakai Black, I mean, if anything, got more heat as a heel. He took out this very green upcoming babyface who's fighting for his dad's honor.
Yep.
And so Malakai Black, if anything, was good for him and his character. But Phillip, I don't know about you, but I really felt this episode was kind of lackluster. I heard a lot of people say it just felt like an episode of Elevation as far as, just a lot of the young upcoming talent, but not a lot of big stars on this episode other than CM Punk.
Really. There was a time where Dynamite hit different. Yeah. This did not hit different. Mm-hmm. It barely hit at all. Like I barely tasted anything on my palate. I'm going to be real.
Yeah, no, it just existed very much like a filler episode. I hope the go home episode next week will be much more exciting, which I anticipate it will be. So it should be interesting. Rampage, I'll just touch on this. So we saw on Dynamite, we saw the Varsity Blondes take on the Lucha Brothers, and then the winner will fight Jurassic Express, and the winner of that match will fight the Young Bucks steel cage match for the tag titles at All Out. So Lucha Brothers won, and I was kind of hoping for Varsity Blondes. How cool if Varsity Blondes... I really dig the Varsity Blondes right now. Obviously, they got the similarities to the Hollywood Blondes with Austin and Brian Pillman Sr. Dude, they have a Pro Wrestling Tees on Pillman and Austin's stores. It's a Hollywood Blonde shirt. I want to get that one.
You should get a Ebony Blonde shirt when Brian and I make our debut. dye the hair bleach blonde, brother.
Oh my god. Would you guys both bleach?
Oh yeah.
Hair?
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Dye the hair, get the camera rolling, baby.
Oh my god.
Like I'm John Singleton shooting Boys in the Hood. You feel me? Come on.
Ricky!
Oh Jesus.
See, I know Boys in the Hood.
I would hope so.
Come on, man.
Man, come on.
It's a classic. I would hope so.
Ice Cube making his debut, man. Acting.
Let's go.
It was good, man. Ricky! Sorry.
Me and Huey was talking about all the classics at SummerSlam.
Bro, why did you all FaceTime me, bro?
I'm trying to remember what else did he talk about. Dude, honestly, looking back on it, I felt bad for your son. I felt your son was getting tired, and we're just talking nonstop about this stuff.
Over and over.
I was like, he's probably like, man, he's probably like, shut up, Huey, I want to go to bed. I was like, I thought, like, afterwards, after you guys left, I was like, oh, man, it's late.
No, he was enjoying it. He had a good time.
I made it up for him. I gave him that
bag.
Yeah, I made it up to him. I got that goodie bag for him.
Yes. He loves that damn bag. He loves it.
Okay, good. So we saw Jurassic Express take on the Lucha Brothers here. I don't know about you guys. This was another stellar match as far as reminding me just how good Rey Fenix is. Listen, I know Rey Fenix is the younger brother of Penta, and Penta got all the love pretty much from Lucha Underground. But for me, I've loved Rey Fenix. Like, the whole sequence he did in the ring by jumping around, I can't even describe it properly. Phillip, I mean, what'd you think of this matchup here?
It was great. Sidebar, what's your favorite Pentagon match from Lucha Underground, Baby Huey?
Oh, against Vampiro.
What do you mean?
Well, they fought each other because that was his mentor, right?
Well, they did 3 times. Which was your favorite?
The one where he broke his arm.
That happened in 2 of the matches. So, like, which one?
The first time, yeah. The first time is always better than the second time.
That's an ongoing joke. Go back and listen to the old Kliq episodes, guys. Yeah, man, Rey Fenix, dude. Like, I feel like I said it on this podcast for like every week for like 2 months. Dude, he's just raw. He's just so raw. He's awesome. I love it, bro. I mean, look, the Bucks and the Lucha Bros. Anytime they get in the ring together, it's easy money. It's like Brett and Perfect back in the day. It's just going to be good.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this. So Lucha Brothers win. They're going to face the Young Bucks. Young Bucks were there up the ramp watching, and they came in and attack afterwards. But if you think about it, we're getting a rematch from All Out 2 years ago. Was that remember when the Young Bucks were the AAA tag team champions?
Yeah.
That was 2 years ago. Wasn't that a ladder match, if I remember correctly?
It was, and that was also the one of the matches that Double or Nothing, the first one.
Yeah, so I mean, part of me is like, oh, it's a rematch. But then again, it's been a couple years, so enough time has passed. And it's different. Young Bucks are the heels now, and Lucha Brothers are the babyface. So it's, our perspective of each team's different. But let me ask you guys this. Do you think it would have been better if Jurassic Express would have won here? Brian, for you, do you think it would have been nice to give Jurassic Express a really big opportunity on a big stage to get this title shot and even win them?
Yeah, if it wasn't going to be Varsity Blondes, I definitely think that Jurassic Express would have been the right call in this situation. I think strongly because I think we've seen what the Lucha Brothers and the Young Bucks can do, and knowing that this match is going to be a steel cage, it's just like, whoa, like what better moment would that be? What better chance does that give Jurassic Express to finally win the big one with no interference? They got the Bucks inside a cage. I don't know. I just felt like that'd be a great opportunity for them to win as well.
Okay.
Young Bucks winning here doesn't really do anything. Lucha Bros winning here, to me, doesn't really do anything either.
Well, I mean, I think, early predictions. Phillip, if you want to take my predictions right now, just saying. Sorry. But I think the Lucha Brothers need to win this match, because if they don't, then why keep them as a tag team? They're
buried.
Yeah, they've lost so many times to Young Bucks now on the big stage. Like, I think the Young Bucks don't really need the titles. They can be who they are without the titles. Share the wealth as far as what their promotion goes. I think the Lucha Brothers need the tag titles. It'd be really beneficial for them, and it gives them something. And they've been killing it for so long from day one for that company. So as a reward, they totally deserve it.
If there's a tag team that needs those titles, it's Santana and Ortiz.
Absolutely. That's another team. Like, they were the big free agent tag teams a couple years ago, and they have not lived up to that potential in AEW, at least from a booking standpoint. But Phil, what I'm getting at is with Jurassic Express, I almost feel like they should have been in this tag team match, because they're really loved by the crowd, and I think they need a tag title win to really put them over on the edge, to elevate them to that next level. Because I feel like, they especially Jungle Boy, he gets all these big matches but loses, and I was like, okay, well, is he just going to be this lovable loser, or what does he need to do to kind of, you could tell he's one of the foundations for long term. He's one of those young guys that they want to build up to be a main eventer for years to come. But I feel like with all these new big free agent signings, he's someone that's really fell down a bit as far as star power goes or appeal, if that makes sense, guys.
Yeah.
Like I feel like he's had these great matches. He had that great one-on-one match with Kenny Omega. He had some other great matches solo that really showed he could put up a good fight, but due to his inexperience, kayfabe, that's why he didn't win those matches, but he still put up a fight, didn't give up, and won a lot of people's respect. But I feel like that can only take you so far until you got to get that win to solidify, okay, he took enough losses, he learned from that, now he's growing into a main eventer. So that's why I thought getting a tag title opportunity All Out and winning could really help elevate his stock to show that, okay, he is now growing into a bigger star. So that's why I was just kind of like, oh, they didn't win here. But Phillip, I don't know. What do you think, man, about Jungle Boy? I kind of feel like he's kind of lacking something. He's lacking some charisma. His facial expressions are always the same. He's not that good on the mic yet. He's a tremendous athlete, though.
We had this conversation when Mike Miller was on the show.
And it's not much.
P.S. Mike wants to come back.
He can text me, Mike, see if he listens to this episode.
No, but yeah, man. I mean, like when he was wrestling in APW, I felt like there was more charisma and passion. I mean, look at the matches he had with Jake Atlas. He was in the Casino Royale at the Cow Palace. Like you could see the true emotion coming from Jungle Boy. He exuded emotion and personality and charisma. On Dynamite, it kind of looks like a deer in the headlights.
Yeah, so I don't know. Like I feel like he's had these big matches and lost, but it's like, okay, yeah, he's due for a big win, and at least maybe give him a tag title win, because I don't see him beating Miro anytime soon. He's not going to be in the world title scene. So what's the next step for him? Okay, tag titles. That's probably the easiest way to go. So I don't know.
Create a cruiserweight title, put it on him.
That'd be a big one for Luchasaurus too.
Yeah, absolutely, him too. Or make a trios title. Was it the rumor that they're gonna have a trios title? But
realistically, no more titles. But
yeah, they do have a lot of titles. But so anyway, that's what my thinking. But listen, I'm still a fan of Lucha Brothers. I think they're gonna have a killer match at All Out. It's gonna be a lot of fun. I wouldn't be surprised if that starts. Nah, that probably wouldn't start the show with. Actually, that probably could start the show, because they could have the cage already set up, and then once it's done, just take it down and have it down for the rest of the night. So.
Their show starters, SCU, aren't together anymore. It's pretty sad.
Yeah. And then, let's see. We saw Miro come out, rip the mask off Fuego del Sol after he beat him up a bit. Eddie Kingston came out and challenged him, or confirmed his challenge.
How long do you guys think it'll take for Lana to show up and reunite with Miro?
He keeps name dropping her, like he prays to God and then he satisfies his hot wife. I mean,
yeah,
his promos are amazing. Like, this Redeemer character is awesome. Like, I don't know.
Maybe she helps him beat Eddie.
When's her 90 days? Is that up yet, or was she June?
When didn't she get released the same time as Braun?
So that was what, early. It was
30, like that would be. It'd be up the 31st.
So next week.
Yeah, because I know the Iconics. They're available for bookings now.
Yeah, Inspiration. That's the new name they're going to go by. Dude, that photo, they look great.
They could still be the Iconics. Just the one eye. Or three eyes. Come on, man.
Iconics.
It's not going to hit the same. Like, man, when they showed up and it was iconic, like that it hit different.
Now they can be all, soft and seductive. The Inspiration.
We're all thinking. Look at Philip's like.
So when's Lana going to debut? We don't know, guys. Maybe at All Out. We don't know.
And then last thing, we saw Kenny Omega, Brandon Cutler take on Christian Cage and the Elite Hunter, Frankie Kazarian. By the way, where's Frankie going with this character? He just randomly pops up looking like the Punisher, attacks guys from the Elite, and then runs off. Or gets his ass handed to him as well. It's like, where's this going? He is just like wandering post SCU breakup.
It's leading to him versus Kenny for the championship.
I I guess. I mean, I just feel bad. Like he's just.
You mean Christian's not going to win the most prestigious championship in all of sports and entertainment and wrestling?
No, he's not wrestling for the WWE Championship. Well, according to Jim Ross, he is.
But the match here was just goofy. Brandon Cutler took all the punishment and was a goofy comedic act in this match. And Kenny Omega ran off, and then Christian Cage and Frankie beat Brandon Cutler. I don't know about you guys. I didn't really feel like it added too much heat for the matchup. I don't know. Are you guys excited for Christian Cage, Kenny Omega 2.0 at All Out?
Yes. Now Kenny's going to have a good match. Like I keep telling y'all. Christian is one of those underrated performers, bro.
I don't know. I'm just like, okay, it's going to happen. I mean, you know, I kind of wish Adam Page was going to be in that match instead, but obviously he's away with his wife about to give birth and stuff.
I forgot about him.
Yeah, man. And that's the thing. When he does come back, is he going to have that same momentum, or how hard will it be to build him back up? I don't know.
Hey, the drunk versus the straight edge guy, book it.
It takes remember CM Punk hit Jericho with the whiskey bottle?
Yeah.
That was reenact that. Oh, I'm just saying. I don't know. But it's just, I don't know. I just felt like this match didn't really add too much heat between the two of them. I mean, I enjoyed the promo beforehand. By the way, that's what I was going to ask you about Rampage real quick. Well, that's what we'll end on. So the 4-man booth, poor Mark Henry, the guy hardly gets to say anything. He gets his one segment where he interviews the main eventers. I thought that was pretty cool. I thought Kenny Omega sounded pretty good. They was a little more serious and not so goofy. Mm-hmm. But Mark Henry's in the middle, interviewing both of them at the same time. I don't know. What are you guys' thoughts? Brian, what do you think of the 4-man booth for Rampage?
Well, the 4-man booth needs to go away. I think Jericho's too loud, and I hear him. He's like embracing it. He's like, and I'm gonna be loud. I'm not gonna change it.
Yeah.
And I agree. Mark Henry, he doesn't get enough shine. He doesn't get enough opportunity, I feel like. And I feel like that's what this is for, to give guys like him the opportunity. Jericho's just, he don't need the opportunity, man. We know what Jericho can offer and what he could bring. He can honestly be put out there anytime at any moment, and boom, Jericho's going to do fine. But Mark Henry, I feel like he needs that shine, man. And I do like him in the Mean Gene sort of setting, though.
Which is cool, because I think for him, that's good. Because I kind of wonder, see, the other three guys are very like upbeat, fast speakers with their energy. Mark Henry has a little bit of a slower delivery, so maybe that's why I feel like he's not keeping up with them, because he's just not like as quick to shout something out. So that's why I kind of wonder, maybe more of the backstage interview role is good for him for Rampage. I don't know, Phil, what about you? I mean, you were saying earlier, 2-man group is probably the best way to go. I mean, 4 people, I think it's just overload. Yeah,
man. Like, I've done some commentary, so I kind of get it, man. Even with 2 people, sometimes you could speak over each other. So 4 is ridiculous.
Yeah, it's a lot. So listen, Excalibur and Taz, they've been working together for the last year and a half, 2 years. I mean, whatever Dark has been existing, they've been doing that together. So Jericho, I love him, but it's a lot of shouting, and like he's over people a lot. And then Mark Henry, he barely says anything. Like they have to personally call him out. Like, hey, Mark, what do you think about this?
Probably just do Excalibur and Mark, bro.
Yeah, maybe test that out.
Like, is Excalibur, like, to his credit, like he knows everything about everybody, and then Mark, he can give the
pro wrestler's perspective,
the pro wrestler, the veteran's perspective,
So anyway, it's just something I thought about, and it's like, okay, how's this going to go moving forward? So we shall wait and see. But on that note, let's start wrapping things up. I know it was a very much action AEW heavy episode of In The Kliq here, but we're making up for lost time from last weekend and stuff. So Philip, start with you. Where can the Kliqsters find you online?
You guys already know where to find me. Trifecta Chief is out. Hacienda, get the Henny ready.
Hacienda? Isn't that a street in Pleasanton?
Oh my
right,
God.
Philip? Brian, can you translate? What's he talking about?
I don't know.
Okay, all right, good. I'm not the only one.
I told you I was on my Godfather ish. You feel me?
Hacienda?
Hacienda.
Wait, La Hacienda? La Hacienda.
I think it's Ha.
Hacienda, yeah. Brian, how about you? Where can the Kliqsters find you?
The Kliqsters can find me at Brian Tronic on Twitter and Instagram. Make sure you guys follow my show at Within the Ropes on Twitter and Instagram as well. That's where you can find me.
Absolutely. And then Within the Ropes podcast.com.
That's right.
Yeah.
Thank you, Huey. See, I always forget that. I forget the. Yes.
Yes,
wait,
Phillip.
Phillip's got Phillip.
If I can be serious though for a second, go check out my interview with the daddy of the district, the ankle breaker, the submission sniper, Jordan Blade. We went about 40 minutes. It's a great conversation. She has a gold medal in powerlifting and Brazilian jiu-jitsu, and then she became a professional wrestler and she's taken the indies by storm. Go check it out. And I have an interview coming up with the poisoned youth, Robert Martyr. Stay tuned to the BC.
That's awesome. I'm Baby Huey. Follow me on Facebook at Baby Huey Official, Twitter and Instagram at Baby Huey83, at In The Kliq for Facebook, Twitter, Instagram as well. Subscribe to us on your favorite podcast platform, including YouTube. Click the link in our bio. Get those In The Kliq merch and a lot more good stuff coming on. I feel like, okay, SummerSlam weekend has come and gone. I kind of get back into my normal routine of recording episodes again. So got a lot of good stuff to look forward to. We got All Out next weekend. There's so much going on. It's going to be a very fun end of summer / fall winter season for pro wrestling. I cannot wait to talk about all the big surprises and what's coming next. And it's just going to be good times, man. So I appreciate all the continued support. And on that note, let's go home. And that's the bottom line because Huey said so.